Welcome to Babies from Beyond, the podcast that gives all babies a voice, whether they are still in spirit or already earthside. I'm Lauren Dionysius, a former registered NICU nurse turned baby soul communicator, and I'm here to share the wisdom of today's babies to guide you on your motherhood journey. So welcome back to today's episode. But before we begin, I just want to gently let you know that in this episode, I will be talking openly about pregnancy and infant loss. So please take a moment to check in with yourself and just see if you're ready to receive this type of wisdom today. Because if hearing about death, especially the death of babies, isn't what's best for you right now or isn't right for you in this moment, then that's completely okay. But please really honor yourself with what you need, and you can always come back here if or when it feels safe to do so. Now, if you haven't listened to my previous episode, which was episode 28, it was called When Does a Baby's Soul Attach to Their Body? So if you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend that you go back and listen to that one first before continuing with this episode. This is because it will give you some context for what I'm about to share today, and it will help deepen your understanding of what might be happening behind the scenes just when things don't go as planned, whether that's through miscarriage, stillbirth, or neonatal death. So, as many of you know, I was a NICU nurse for around 20 years. And during that time, as part of my job, I witnessed the death of countless babies. And it was the thing that I struggled with the most. And it devastated me every single time it happened. And in fact, I actually left nursing a couple of times over the years because I could not find any kind of peace with the question that really haunted me most throughout my career. And that was, why do babies die? But then I think it was about 15 years into my nursing career, I was in my mid-30s, when I finally started asking this question to the only ones who could actually answer it. And that was the babies themselves. And what I learned is that when I began opening up to their wisdom and what they had to say, these babies not only told me why they weren't staying earthside, but allowed me to witness what happens when a soul leaves the earth. And that's what I really wanted to talk about in today's episode. Also, what I discovered is that this isn't just unique to babies. It's something that I've seen happen with the soul of anyone who's died, whether that is a baby, a child, a parent, a friend, or even an elder in the family. And so today in this episode, I wanted to share one of these moments with you. And this was a shared death experience I had with a baby that I'm going to call Baby M. So Baby M had been in the nursery for several months. She'd had a lot of ongoing challenges, such as extreme prematurity. She'd had problems with her lungs and respiratory complications. And she'd also had a lot of infections as well. Again, very common challenges that many extremely preterm babies face on their journey. So after a few months, her little body had been through so much. And even with sedation and support, she was often distressed and restless and cranky and needed resuscitation several times a day. Her lungs were so fragile and her body was so exhausted, but I could also feel that her soul and that her spirit was tired. So one night I started talking to her when I was caring for her. And when she connected with me, and I had communicated with this soul many, many times over the months before this, So I had learnt to hear her, to feel her, to see her, and to understand what she was trying to communicate with me. So when I was talking to her this night, it was quite natural when she began to communicate and connect with me. But I was still surprised when she said she was ready and that she was done. And she also shared that what frustrated her wasn't the pain or the tubes or the constant interventions that she was being given. It was that she didn't have a voice. Like, quite literally, her breathing tube made it impossible for her vocal cords to work. So even when she cried, there was no sound. And that, more than anything, was the thing that hurt her the most. It was the thing that she found the most challenging during her journey here on the earth. So, to cut a long story short, a plan was made between her parents and the medical team to redirect her care from supporting her life to more comfort-based care. And I wasn't actually rostered on the day that this was planned for, and I just happened to instead be at a women's meditation circle. So around 11 a.m. on this day, as the circle started, I immediately felt her presence around me. She showed herself to me, and she was wearing this little pink outfit, and she was also wrapped up in a blanket that I recognized from her cot. So I knew it was her. And as I said, by this point, I had communicated with her quite a lot, so I already had a good feeling of how her energy felt. There was no doubt for me that this was this baby's soul. But also, I was nowhere near the hospital. I was about 45 minutes away, but I figured if she was coming to me, then something must be happening. So thankfully, being in a meditation circle, I was able to close my eyes, and I reached out to my guides and her guides and called in support for her with whatever was going on for her at this time. I asked the angels and her guides to hold her gently, as I knew that she was preparing to transition and to leave the earth. But then, quite unexpectedly, something really amazing and beautiful happened. In my vision, I saw myself holding her. Usually when I have these experiences, it's like I'm peeking behind the curtains. Have an insight to what is going on behind the scenes, but always as an observer. But this time it was different because I was in there as well. It's like I was inside the movie as an actor as well. And I saw myself holding her. And what was happening is I was lifting her up towards the light that was above us. I had one hand underneath her and the other hand supporting her head. And then above me, what came into view was this semicircle of angels. They appeared in a brilliant white and gold color. And together, very simply, but very gently, but also very purposefully, they reached down and just lifted her from my arms. And the whole experience felt so peaceful, so natural, so joyful. Like, there was so much joy, there was so much freedom there. And it also felt really purposeful, like it was all being orchestrated on a level that I was unaware of. It felt like a sacred handover, but there was nothing clinical about it at all. As I said, it was beautiful, it was peaceful, and it wasn't about just letting go from this world. It was about being received into another world. And I do often talk about this, if you've been around me for a while, where when it comes to birth and death, we can't have one without the other. When we birth into this world, there's a death from the spirit world. And when we leave this world, there's a rebirth back into the spirit world. And this is what it was feeling like for me. I felt like she was being welcomed home. I felt like there was a celebration, a party for her arrival back into the spirit world, which was in such a stark contrast to the human experience of death. And even though I wasn't anywhere near the hospital, I could only imagine what her parents were going through at this time. So over the next hour or so, this vision came and went, and I kept getting glimpses of what seemed to be happening or going on behind the scenes. Even though I felt her soul's presence and her energy there the whole time, I was seeing her parents, I was seeing her clothes, I was seeing the breathing tube, I was seeing different staff. But I could always feel her soul. I could always feel her energy. And then suddenly, just as quickly as it started, really, it was all gone. She was gone. The angels were gone. The light was gone. The pictures were gone. And the space in my mind or in my third eye was really quiet and still. Her energy had lifted completely. And I knew that she had left and that she was now gone. So I took a note of the time, and then when I went back to work a couple days later, I checked in with my colleagues. Not about the vision, obviously, because there was no way I was going to share anything about it to the people I worked with, or they would for sure think I'd gone crazy. But I just was curious to see what had happened that day and the timelines that had unfolded. So I asked them how it went and when approximately it had happened. And I tried to say it in a way that was just quite clinical, like to repeat a story in a more clinical perspective, because I didn't want to give away what was really underneath it for me. And that I was looking for evidence. I was looking for proof that I wasn't going crazy, that what I saw was real, and that it wasn't just my imagination. And so to get the answers I needed, I had to be very cautious about how I brought it up with my colleagues. Anyway, they told me that around 11 a.m., which was the exact time that my meditation circle started, that baby M and her parents had been taken to a quiet area within the nursery with her parents, and that she was there for about an hour. And then at 12 noon, her parents gave the staff the okay to finally remove her breathing tube. And so 15 minutes later, it was out of her throat. And by 1 p.m., so 45 minutes later, she had peacefully passed away. So I found it extraordinary that it lined up almost exactly with my own timeline. Despite me being like 45 minutes away from the nursery that she was in, the human me was shocked because it was so accurate. And it also confirmed my own experiences and also my own sanity to me, because I have questioned it a lot over the years doing this work. It's something that was very unexpected and very confusing on many occasions. So when I was able to find evidence or confirmation or validation of what I was experiencing, and that correlated with the clinical picture in some way, it always gave me a sense of reassurance and also confirmation that maybe something really was going on and I wasn't just making it up in my head. So while the human me was shocked because this timeline was so accurate and it confirmed my own experiences, I already knew in my heart and soul that it was true, because I couldn't have made that up even if I tried. It's just something that, like, where would I get that from? Anyway, these are the questions and the thoughts that were always rolling through my mind when I was doing this work. And anyway, this was just one of the many experiences that really helped me to change my own perspectives around death, especially when it came to the death of babies, because I felt it was different to the death of older people, whether it was adults or the elderly. It seemed different to me in some way. But through my exposure to the death of babies and what they shared with me, I learned that there was a lot in common. And it showed me how, from a soul's perspective, death can be really peaceful. It can be really freeing and joyful. and also showed me how much they were being loved and being supported from the other side, from their guides, their beings, their family and spirit, just how much they welcomed them home. It was like this reunion and this homecoming. So I found it so powerful and so beautiful and so heartwarming to be able to see this other side of death, and to not to discount the very real feelings of grief and pain and heartbreak that surround death, but to be able to start holding both, to realize that it's possible to hold two very different experiences or beliefs at the same time. After all, we are multidimensional beings, right? We have that capacity. We're just not taught how to do so. We're just taught that it's this or it's this. We don't tend to have a lot of space for it's this and it's this. So anyway, let's take a deep breath now here, just to pause, because I understand that for many of you, this episode and what I've shared may be a lot to hear. Okay, so we're back. So this example with baby M is just one example that I've shared with you. But in my experience, whether it's with babies or adults, it seems to be the case that the soul leaves the body before the moment of physical death, before the lungs stop breathing and the heart stops beating. The soul leaves the body before then. And as I said, it's not just for babies, it's also for older people, but it's also for those souls who pass in utero through miscarriage, stillbirth, or termination. Because this is something that I've also felt when connecting with these souls as well, and asking them about their experience of death and how that unfolded for them. And again, while this may sound crazy, and I'm the first to admit it, I always ask them. All we can do is ask these souls what's going on, how things are unfolding for them, and what's their experience and their perspectives around these topics for today that includes death. So I ask them the hard questions and I listen to their answers. I don't know the answers, and so that helps me to stay in a place of neutrality where I'm not feeling pulled or biased towards one particular answer. And I find when I listen in this way, it helps me to trust what information they're sharing, or to trust the information that's coming through from them to me. So just to summarize this, and coming back to the very topic of this episode is around what happens to the soul when a baby dies. Then in my experience, and therefore my belief, is that the soul leaves the body first, before the lungs stop breathing and before the heart stops beating. And my understanding of this is that this happens in order to minimize the trauma of death on the soul. And perhaps it's only once the soul leaves the body that the physical body can actually begin to fade. Because until then, the body is still being fueled by the life force of the soul. And so once the soul is gone and it is left, then the body has no more fuel. So it can finally rest, it can return, and it can begin its own rebirth back into the spirit world. So I know that today was a big episode, so please be gentle with yourself. And if this episode have raised any questions for you or has triggered anything within you that needs further support, then please make sure that you get the support that you need. Thank you for tuning in to Babies from Beyond. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to leave me a review just wherever you listen to your podcasts. Also, head over to Instagram and give me a follow at Born Energy, and check out the show notes for more ways that you can connect with your baby's soul, including one-on-one readings and online programs to support you. Until next time, trust your journey and your baby. Take care.